Good. Right, we're on now.
Oh, shit.
Mate, live TV. Fucking hello.
Famous words of Bruce Buffer, mate. We are live.
Yeah, hello. G'day, ladies and gents. Welcome to the latest version. What are we? August 2024.
Holy snap.
We're looking at the list today, going, oh, that's September. That's ages away. I'm like, no, bro. This is what I'm saying to myself, right? That's next month. So my name's Robbie. I've got Luke and I've got Ryan here with us. So we're here to answer anything to do with your entitlements, anything to do with life, basically. How to join the military, what it's like in the military, how to transition from the military, how to work with your spouse, like whatever that sort of looks like. So go ahead and hit us up in the chat there. Let me just hit escape so then I can fucking see the chat. I can't see the chat today.
No, that's all right, mate.
But yeah, let us know where you're dialing in from, please. And go ahead and use the chat and just bloody rock on from there.
Mate, what a month we've had. Holy
You know what's
snappers.
funny? When we've been doing these for 4 years,
Yep.
and when we're rolling through week by week, didn't need any notes because I'm like, I know what happened 3 days ago. Bang, you just say it.
Yep.
But now, because it was the 3rd of July. We're 6 weeks, 2 weeks overdue. Apologies. We're 2 weeks overdue for our monthly live Q&A, but there's been so much happening this month. I'm like, we've got no choice but to go back through and actually take some notes on some impactful and meaningful and really awesome conversations that we've had amongst all different levels.
Exactly right, man. It's at all levels. Like, it's that strategic stuff we're doing for the business and planning. It's that engagement that we have with, if you've tuned in any of this stuff before, you'll absolutely know that we sit down and jaw off every morning about the coaching sessions that we have, because 3 brains are better than 1, of course, as we go through.
I don't jaw off, mate. I just sit there and listen.
I provide information. No, but it's just so much going on that it's awesome that we get an opportunity, because as much as this is great for you guys and girls out there to see what's happening inside at Axon, it gives us an opportunity to let that mortar sink through the bricks and solidify it for us too.
I love it, mate. So Forrest Chris is saying hello in Brisbane. Sammy Wynn saying evening all. Cadio Smith, hey, legend's been a while. Absolutely. So great to see you guys in this. Let us know where you're dialing in from, and just keep the questions coming thick and fast. So as Luke was sort of saying then, as I was distracted with this here, some people say, what do you do during the day? I'm like, well, we're talking to the mortgage broker, we're talking to the solicitor, we're wheeling and dealing on behalf of our clients, and of course us that do the calls at night time, we're then updating the plan, doing the executive summary, making sure that the clunky PowerPoint stuff that we do live in front of our clients, it's actually presentable.
Speak
afterwards.
for yourself, mate. I'm bloody proficient in that. I've got the rubber stamp now.
The old post-activity reports,
But there's so we spend 2 hours with. There's probably 40 minutes of admin that goes into it, and then of course there's a QA that needs to be done. So hey, I'm finished it. Can you check it for me?
Yeah, of course. So never goes out without
ruthless implementation of the independent check is never bloody missed here for us. So,
mate, should we talk about, before we get into what happened over the last month or 6 weeks? Should we talk about just the biggest thing, the biggest event of the year that's coming up, mate?
Oh, here we go.
Tomorrow's 40th. That was earlier in the month.
Oh no, I'm not talking about birthdays. I'm talking about the event.
Oh, the event. There's been a few. I know the one you're talking about. So, it's Luke's 40th on the 20th of this month.
Yeah, that's a side story. No one cares about that.
Well, I do, because I'm like, I've known this rooster. I'll put him through Duntroon as one of my cadets back in the day. I'm like, what am I going to do to make something half decent for his 40th birthday? I love my AFL. I love my F1.
He drags me that shit all the time.
Most sports, but the only sport that Luke likes is UFC. Yes. So, of course, over the last, 3 years that we've been really hanging out close as opposed to just semi-close when you're hanging out over in Timor.
Yep.
I've been taking a bit of an interest in UFC as well. And I'm like, UFC's on in Perth soon, i.e. this weekend. So guess what? Me and Luke are coming to Perth. Those of you who are there, or we're going to Perth if you haven't been there before. So this time tomorrow, we'll be eating a steak up at the airport.
Yep, ready to roll.
Because we've got a 6:05 flight to Perth AM. I ain't leaving the Gold Coast at 3 AM. That's just silly. And we've got a client meetup tomorrow night as well. So if I didn't do that, we'd be a bloody cactus by then. Dubs is just putting in. Are you putting a little bit of B-roll there, mate? Which is good to see. Drakelis Duplessis and Israel Adesanya. So it's going to be a cracking morning.
Me.
If you happen to find yourself watching that at like 11 a.m. on Sunday morning, these two roosters will be there, a couple of rows from the front, having a bloody cracking time.
Now, I'm too pretty to fight, but that to me is absolute poetry, watching two half-naked men punch each other.
You're so excited.
So yes, that's
We
the
are.
event you were talking about. All right, Daniel. All right, there you go. August 17th.
But that also
Righto.
that also leads it into Axon. So it's not all us. Yeah, it's not us having fun. What we love doing, so it is still us having fun, but it's part of what we do. We take the opportunity when we're in these capital cities that are not the Gold Coast or next to Brisbane to meet up with all of you folks out there. Like it's awesome to be able to sit down. Look, we build a strong relationship with people over Zoom. Like we're talking about very serious stuff, being your future, your financial future. But you just can't trade that. You cannot trade that for shaking someone's hand, giving them a hug, kiss on the cheek, sharing a beer, sharing a wine, whatever that looks like. So we're coming over and we're going to do that whilst we're over in Perth too. So we're really excited to catch up with a bunch of people.
So if you haven't registered for that, you're too late. And that's, of course, only for those clients that are inside the Axon wire per se.
It is.
In front of our Axon Elite group. So we've got about 20 people coming.
Yeah, yep.
17, 18.
Yeah.
So, I mean, Ryan, you had your first chance to come to a client meetup down in Melbourne.
Yes.
Earlier, and just how good is that to just
Well, actually,
do what
second,
Luke
I went
just
to
said?
Townsville last year, but it was sort of the first one where I had my own clients actually at the meetup, which was nice.
Beautiful.
Yeah. It was a really, really, as you said, impactful experience to meet these people in real life, shake their hand, talk about things other than property, and yeah, it was a really, really enjoyable experience down in Melbourne.
Yeah, it's just you can't trade it. Like you just can't trade the opportunity to do that. The levels of care and the levels of love and the levels of support you want to give those people, even more so than what we do normally just after you've met them and, even get a chance to meet their kids if they come along and that sort of stuff.
And you'd love to be able to do the coaching like that, but tyranny of distance unfortunately means we can't. So that's why we do these things, so we can actually get a chance to meet these people and we become so attached and close. And it's a really wonderful experience.
Some people say, how come you don't have an office in Townsville and Darwin and Perth? I'm like, it's this thing called the internet. I don't need an office there. I can do it that way. Yeah, we got this here. So Justin Simmons has said hello, gents. Franceline is saying hello from the Gold Coast. Joshy Burns says howdy, boys. First time watcher. Let's go, Izzy. Loves it. Franceline's also said Vance has just found out Daddy's going to the UFC. A little bit like when I tell my wife about things and I'm on a Facebook Live. She finds out for the first time. So he's not happy. He should be absolutely stoked that Dad's going to the UFC. He's probably like, how come I'm not going? Hey, come on, Chief. You're not there yet. A
few more years.
Caitlin Wilkins said he's hanging with me, so he'll be fine. Joey Seymour dialed in late. When is Townsville next? Mate, we were up in Townsville in March last year. We did a little presentation up there. So probably around that March, April, I would say, Joey Seymour, if that's all right with you, mate. And David Horrell's checked in as well, saying evening all. That was a good little lead off. I like that. I was going to leave it for a little bit later, but you just
I was too excited, man. I was like a kid with a
UFC. I'm like, it's your 40. You're like, don't worry about that. I'm going to UFC.
I nearly weed a bit. I was so excited, mate. It's I'm looking forward to it.
Actually, you know what, Daniel? Let's start off with one of the ripping questions that's come in over the last 24 hours after one of your posts there. So you go ahead and ask, mate, and then we'll go around the table and see what we can come up with.
Yep. Okay, so we had this one come through on our Instagram page earlier today, and it was, when is the best time to reach out to a property coach? During or after saving for a deposit?
Right, well, you got three of us here. Good. Who's that from, may I ask?
That is from Jacob.
Hello, Jacob. Thanks very much
Jacob.
for your question, buddy. Appreciate it. I feel like I'm bloody Scott Morrison. I'd like to thank the member for that question, Mr. Speaker.
I'll take that on notice. No,
Yeah,
we
of
won't
course
take
you
it on
fucking
notice.
will.
We will answer.
Yeah, we are here, mate. We're here. I listened literally. He heard you speak to. Heard you have a connection call just before this, and you're like, it's pretty exhilarating. There's live TV. Like, there's no hiding here. So here we go. You want to start? You can finish. No, you go 1, 2, 3. I'll finish. Like as always.
Cool, awesome.
When do you reach out to the property coach?
So for me, it's about you want to be in a position to be ready as soon as the market conditions and your position is solidified, right? So what does that mean? It means that you can't sit there and reach out to someone and then hope that you're ready. You want to have that lead up. So the ultimate thing about our coaching is that we put a plan together, we put together a strategy, and we get clarity over what our options are. It's that clarity through planning that illuminates those options for us. That's an officer word, sorry. That allows us to understand when we can take action. What we don't want to do is reach out and go, I think I've got, the deposit saved. Oh, fuck, I forgot about the costs. I forgot about this. I forgot about that. And then you're delaying that acquisition. You want to have all of that information up front, ready to go, so you can actually start planning that runway into that acquisition.
Can you put it in digger speak?
Yeah, man, I was going to say the very, very short answer to that
Now
is before, not during. and not wait till you've got the savings. No, mate, it's as early as you can. Like Luke said, you don't potentially know how much you're saving for. You don't know what your borrowing might be. There's a whole bunch of second, third order effects that you just don't know. So it's ultimately as soon as you can, even if you think you're not ready and you might not be ready for some time, the best place to reach out to us is before you start saving.
Well, it's all about the milestones and the gates that you need to be able to get through, right? So, even on our free training, we're like, all right, if you're looking to buy your first investment property, you need about $80,000 to get started. And that's based on an entry-level $600,000 property. 10% for your deposit, plus your stamp duty, plus your lender's mortgage insurance, plus your legal fees. It'll bring you pretty close to 80 grand straight away. So, and obviously things are slightly different if you want to be able to buy your own home, etc. So if you want to know, already that's pretty much the milestone that most people need to get to. But yeah, certainly you don't reach out to us when you're ready, because there's a bunch of, this is ex-SOCOM JTAC and me coming out, right? Concurrent activity is your best friend.
Yep.
If you can do things concurrently without backing yourself into a corner from a risk perspective, you'd want to put a very good argument forward to me to go, I don't think that's a good idea.
Absolutely.
Well, why the fuck not?
Absolutely.
Why wouldn't you want to be able to, be smart with your time and know what those milestones are and do a bunch of planning and almost like set the ambush whilst you're still saving.
Yep.
And then if you do happen to snap something up, you can take it off the market, more than likely protected by a finance clause for 12 months. So there's so many more reasons why. Did I hear you say Daniel? Yeah. Jacob, there's so many, and for the rest of you, there's so many more reasons why you should reach out way before you are ready, as opposed to the other way around. Especially in those areas which are very high demand. If you reach out to us and they go, I've got my 80K saved now.
Let's
go.
Like,
oh, sweet. But now the property's not going to be ready for 18 months because the land registration doesn't happen that way. Lots of pros coming.
I think there's strength too in just having an accountability buddy. So as a coach, you'll have someone on your team checking in. Like saving can be a long time. It can be a long timeline. So, and you could end up, wandering off and losing sight of that goal. And having a property coach or someone in your corner that's going to keep you accountable will only strengthen your timeline and getting there when you need to.
I think we've got 4 property coaches, because Joey Seymour was like, reach out ASAP and find out where you're at to get an understanding.
Bingo.
Good answer. What he said.
And there's so much more brevity in that than what I said, Joey. So thanks, mate. I appreciate it.
That's very normal. You'll get to know Luke. He's
wisdom in my words. You just have to fight through them.
Yeah, I'm still looking. You had someone in the office today.
Yep.
Who you've met, and he's got a complex set of circumstances.
Yeah.
Great bloke,
Fucking
etc.,
awesome.
etc.
He's really
He
great.
walked into me. He goes, "When were you at 2 Commando?" I'm like, "Oh, back in the day." He goes, "Oh, I was a digger in the Q store." I'm like, yeah, "Sorry, bro. I was down at SOHQ by then." But yeah, anyway, very, very likable fella. But you walked out of there, and he goes, "There's no way you were an officer."
Yeah, he goes to me. That's what he said
He
through the
just spent
coaching.
2 hours with
There's
you
no
one
way
on
you're a
one.
fucking officer. Yeah.
So if those that don't know, Luke is the quintessential digger in an officer's uniform, and that's why we love you so much, mate. Which is bloody evening.
I can do the heavy lifting and I've got brains. I'm the full package. I think that's what Robbie's saying, right?
Patina Ryan jumped in and said, "Good evening.
G'day,
I'm certainly
Patina.
going to be speaking about you and your family soon, Patina, if you don't mind." Francine saying she loves something. She's just throwing you love bombs, Luke, over the bloody internet whilst we're here. Daniel, that's an excellent one, mate. One of the biggest things that, for my perspective as the CEO and ultimate leader of this team, that we've done over the last 6 weeks is we did our end of financial year planning.
Yeah.
One of the things that the military taught me that I've now been able to bring and refine and implement to the nth degree with the whole team here is having a willingness and leading the team to really have a really clear understanding of the importance of planning.
Yep.
Like, we go to the planning to the end,
Yep.
but we need to have our own shit in one sock.
Yep.
That means sort yourself out. It's a technical term, right? If you haven't heard that before. For those that didn't see the meme before, if you've got me on a little iPad and the kids are having dinner and stuff, give them a set of earplugs and do these ones for them. Dropped an F-bomb once so far, so the fact we've been up in nearly 15 minutes is a fair record. Let's maintain that record. I like to say, I was going to give the boys a bit of a bump up today and go, let's not swear tonight, but we've already crossed that Rubicon. So anyway, but yeah, so just literally, we reflected on the last 12 months. We know all of our numbers to the nth degree.
Yeah, exactly.
Like those that helped me and Tamara start the business years and years ago, I'll still be forever grateful for, because they helped us get the business off the ground. But we didn't know our numbers.
Yep.
Everything was done off gut feel. We didn't have an understanding of exactly what the data was, so then we could make crystal clear decisions based on the data, not just about, what do you think, and then we'll go from there.
Yep.
So I've really, really loved the way that everyone embraces, and each of the team leaders jumps up. Kieran does the marketing, you do the Co's the property specialist, Franny does the build support, then Ange does all the client care. Like every single part of the client's journey that you go on, we've got depth and we've got, a real awesome levels of experience there. So the end of financial year planning we did, I hope everyone saw the iFly videos we did. Daniel did a great job there, mate, on promulgating that over social media stuff. You're going to try and find a bit of B-roll on that now, aren't you, now that I've brought that up? We went out to dinner afterwards. So, we do things large. Like we're head down, bum up in the office here all the time. But when we've got a bit of playtime, I'm like, let's go and enjoy ourselves. Let's go to an awesome dinner and get it done. So, just keen on your feedback there about how much you guys love the end of financial year planning and indeed the stuff we do every quarter.
What do you?
Oh, for me, mate, I know. Well, for those out there, that don't know my history, I've been a civilian before military, so I've worked in a number of different organisations, both government and private consultings, and I have never experienced the level of future ops planning and reflection, even level of team members in Axon.
Yep.
Yeah, it's usually just upper echelons of management go away and do their planning, come back around and say we're going to do this, and you go, oh, okay.
Yep.
Do I get a say?
Yeah. The two things that jumped out of the planning for me are the synergy between each one of the cells, each one of the areas within Axon. Like we've got very clear, distinct lines of responsibility in our day-to-day jobs, and everybody does that. But when we go into the planning phase for us, it's about, okay, how does my job and what I do impact those other areas, and how do I now influence that through action or through understand how do I pass that right level of information on? That's the first thing. And the second thing is to echo what you said about everybody in the business getting an opportunity to voice their level of experience and understanding of what they want to achieve in the business. So it's not just like RT and TAM walk in, or coaches walk in, or property specialists walk in and put their foot down. It's like, well, what do you actually think about it? How can you bring something to the table for your space that's going to improve what you do? Because we, even though we've got a bunch of experience, we don't have all the fucking good ideas. Yeah, sorry, it's two. Apologies, Tammy. We don't have all the good ideas.
But when you've got a team of A-grade superstars,
yep.
Opinion. It's a burden, mate. Like leading a team of people and making sure that we're financially viable, our reputation's good, our service is good with our clients, the reviews are all sorted, etc., is quite lonely sometimes. And I'm not the holder of all good good ideas. I need everyone's input. Sure, I might discard a couple here and there because I've got extra levels of context and experience. But just keep them coming. So hopefully you guys are feeling it out there as well. That this is not just a business that's been only operating for a couple of years. I mean, I can't believe we turn 8 in February. So, I feel like we're not in primary school anymore. We're not in high school anymore. We're like coming to the end of our bloody arts degree.
Wow.
Is that the easiest one you can do?
It is, bro, because that's the one I did.
So, and it's just bloody onwards and upwards from here. Right, now let's switch gears for a second. Give us a bit of an insight into a couple of the awesome coachings you've had, because I know there's been a trend happening in your lane.
Yeah. I'm actually, first and foremost, very happy to be here because we were
good.
6 weeks ago, we did our last call, and I think 2 or 3 of those weeks I was in bed.
Oh yeah, you were cruel.
So I'm very happy to be back and healthy and on calls again, which is awesome. I think if, I said to Amanda the other night, Wuhan doesn't need a lab. They can just go to our daycare and swap the floor.
Daycare.
And I think that, the world could come to a step. But, so very happy to be back here. And I love looking, the reflection of the people that we speak to each month. And there was a very, very clear trend for me, for the clients that I've spoken to, and that was I didn't have a single new client over the age of 24.
Wow.
So 22, 23, 24.
Yeah.
All super, super young, all early in their military career, all already thinking about wealth creation and using property and how they can do it, who they can use in terms of expertise, and just wanting to get started when they can. Yeah.
How good is that?
It's so fucking good. It's so good. It is
Did
so.
you just say very.
It's very, very good. It's
Yeah.
Tam, you can exchange very for the other one. No, it's so good because and we've said this before plenty of times is the two most powerful assets that you have when you're investing is time and compounding growth. And when you're sitting there at a 21, 22-year-old and you've saved all your money from Domino's or KFC or whatever that is, Woolies, and you've pulled everything, it is a little bit scary. It's a little bit scary to go, I've been saving this in context for my entire working life, from KFC right up to joining the military and a little bit after. It's a scary prospect to take, but the thing is you can't save your way to being wealthy. Yeah. You need to take action and you need to put it in place with a plan and a strategy. And seeing young people now such a good head on their shoulders to do that. You know, if somebody, and it doesn't happen all the time, but if somebody comes to us with 100 grand saved and they're 21, 22, 23 years old.
And it happens frequently.
I am mind boggled.
Yeah.
I was
unbelievable.
Yeah, I was so focused on other things, extracurricular
You were spending
activities.
100 grand.
I was spending 100 grand a year. It
I was
just,
being nice.
it's just mind boggling, and it's so inspirational to see young people do that. Like, it just really is.
What about that story when you were telling that young lady at the end of the coaching session,
Yeah.
this exact, you wrapped
Yep.
it all up and said,
Yep.
now I've sat here for 2 hours with you and gone through your circumstances like you're at the, top percentile of, young 21, 22-year-olds. And then when you did the follow-up coaching, you're like, hey, how did you sort of reflect and how did it make you feel when I was passing on some feedback? What'd she say to you?
Yeah, she thought I was buttering her up. She said it's it's a little bit like being in a nightclub and someone's charming you and that sort of stuff. And I said, mate, go and ask your friends.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
you're not. This is not Luke charming you. I'm not pissing in your pocket and telling you it's raining. You're in a position where you've saved X amount of dollars, which is incredible for
You're not
someone.
normal.
No,
Yeah.
it's not normal. It is not normal. And it's great to see young defence members doing that, because that's the thing that's going to set you and your family up. Like, your future selves, and we always say this, your future selves are going to love you for the decisions that you make and are making right now to put yourself in the position to be able to take action.
Because one day I was 22 and then I blinked my eyes 5 times and now I'm 50. Almost 52. So, I
I'll
hadn't
never be
finished. I hadn't
52.
finished. But like, what's the Ryan? I'm generally interested. What's the trend from a money mindset and money habits? Because that doesn't come easily. I've just sort of do ask them, like, where do you get your money mindset and money habits from?
After I picked my job up off the ground, because I was the same as Luke at 22, I was somewhere in London with about 100 quid in my pocket, and that was it. So for someone to come and speak to us with 80, 90, 100, one young bloke's got 140K. That he's been saving since I think he was in the seafood department at Woolies, right? So, and I say, how did you get to this position? And most of them, if not all, just say they've been taught or been raised with good money habits.
Yeah. So
It's come
parental
from their
influence.
parental influence.
Yeah. So this is people at my age, 50, in their early 50s, some sort, like, it's almost like skip a generation.
Yep.
I can put this out there now. Like, my mum and dad would shit themselves if they knew how much debt I was in.
Yeah.
Good debt, that is.
Yeah, absolutely.
It's just not in their mindset. It's not their problem to worry about, and I'm not worried about it either, by the way. But I just wasn't taught about the use of money and investing from that generation.
Yep.
No spin on anyone's sort of family there. But now, like, fast forward, then there's a group of, I'm not a baby boomer, I'm the generation, fucking whatever I am. Right?
I think you're on the cusp.
I know I'm definitely not normal, and anyone that know me more than 5 minutes can attest to that. But, like, their parents are my age in their early 50s and maybe have done okay with their finances, so they're in a position to be able to provide that parental guidance, right?
Yep.
Yep. Yeah. The thing is with that, so if you're sitting there and you're in the position where you're not even thinking about a family yet and that sort of stuff, that's all well and good. But as Robbie said, time flies by, right? Real quick. You want to be in the position to be able to provide intergenerational wealth to your kids, right? So even if you haven't had that as an experience growing up and you haven't had great money habits bestowed upon you by your folks and you haven't seen what right looks like, intergenerational wealth doesn't just mean you pass your kids a bunch of cash and move on. Like, that's not what it is. It's about the mindset. It's about the behaviors. It's about the consistency over time of providing them the platform to be able to grow. So if you're sitting there and you haven't had that, change the future for your kids, and the way you do that is by providing that example.
And there's certainly a lot of, opinions and assessments out there at the moment that is going to be so important for the next couple of generations.
Has to be,
because
mate.
of the way the property market, the way cost of living, all that sort of stuff is going. It's intergenerational wealth will be critical for our kids, grandkids, great grandkids to have a decent life.
Well, it's just financial education. It's got to be a point. I mean, I'm glad, selfishly, that the schools are still not teaching this stuff. Because guess what? I probably wouldn't have it. Like, if everyone knew when they graduated high school how to build a sustainable and effective property portfolio, see you later, Axon. I don't need you. I can go and do it myself. But it's not happening still.
Yep.
So,
and it's the same with the army and the defence force. Writ large, I think it's pretty irresponsible. Young people, the majority. So saving that coin, you are not the majority, right? The majority of people get out there, they get out of high school, they go, sweet, I've got an income now, I've got a roof over my head, let's go and get blind and have fun. Because I did that. That's exactly what I did. So I'm not being a jerk when I say this, but it's just that education's not there, and it's pretty irresponsible, the Defence Force, to wedge a bunch of cash in people's pockets and let them go loose.
Slight tangent before I come back. I've coached a bunch of people in their mid to late 20s over the years, though. that might have a young family already, and they're like, I had nothing from my parents when I was younger. I didn't grow up and have that parental guidance. Come from a relatively conservative background. I now want to break the cycle.
Yeah.
I'm now here talking to you, Axon, so you can put a plan in place for me because my 2-year-old daughter over there, I want to break the cycle for her. We're gonna bust our gut to make sure we can put together a plan and have a sustainable property portfolio to give her something because I'm getting nothing from my family. Like that's the story they're telling me.
Yeah.
What a powerful position that is.
Yeah,
Let's
man.
break the cycle at
Absolutely.
some stage.
I can relate to that pretty deeply.
Yeah.
I can relate to that pretty deeply about breaking the cycle and growing up in an environment that was not, great education and, long-term thinking and that sort of stuff. And so for me, that resonates so strongly with me when a couple with young kids say they want to do that. It's pretty bloody powerful. And there's no more powerful reason, as far as I'm concerned, as a dad, there's no more powerful reason to do shit right than it is to provide that platform for your kids.
Yeah. Jeez, you're so much more emotional than me, and I love it. There's been tears in this studio,
Yeah,
and
no
I
tears
won't lie
tonight,
to you,
mate.
and none of them have been mine.
Once or twice.
Yet. I love
Once or
you for
twice.
it, mate.
All right.
No, Rhino, were you going to finish off?
I was going to say, no, coupled with that trend, I guess, is the reality of the lending space at the moment, right? So we've got I've got these 22, 23, 24-year-olds that have got a chunk of cash, but then the reality is it comes down to your borrowing capacity. And the other trend that is very clear with these people is the ones at the moment that have the green lights to borrow what they need to are living in LIA. The ones that are out in RA aren't quite there because of, at the moment, they're low income, right? Because you're 2, 3, 4 years into the army or wherever, and you're still in that sort of 80, 90K a year, whatever it might be. So it's a very clear path for people to take if they're open to it, I guess.
Yep.
Is that LIA is a very, very strong strategy at the moment to get into the market if you're young and you can do it.
Yep.
Yeah, so it's, you're talking about there is cost of living. Even though RA is good, you've still got to pay the rest of it.
Yep.
Then you're still living in a certain. So when the banks go ahead and do a housing expenditure measurement assessment, the HEM assessment on you, if you're living in suburb X, they're like, right, how much does it cost a single white male or female to live in that suburb?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what's the cost of living?
Yeah.
There's a big brother calculator out there that the banks use to make that happen. But when you're living on barracks, all that shit's out the door, and you're paying bugger all $150 a week, whatever it is, for all your food, all your electricity, all your accommodation, all your rent, all everything. So it does change the game. And sometimes just being that close to the line will be the difference between whether you can or can't buy a property.
Right now, and the other ones that can't, it's that's part of that planning that we do is go, okay, we're not there yet. We're going to continue to save. That's one bit. And then we're also going to look at, okay, when's promotion? What's some other things that are coming down range in the next couple of years that can get you up to, where you need to be.
Yep. And as we always say, live in the LIA situation, like I've done it before. I did it as a junior officer and that sort of stuff. Yes, your sergeant can check your fucking socks. Who cares, right? There's some inconveniences that come there. But I tell you what, the cool kid living down the road in an apartment that's just around the corner from the base and, having their parties every weekend and that sort of stuff, they will be the same people that sit down with you in 10 years, 15 years' time and say, geez, you're lucky. Geez, you're so lucky. How did you get so lucky with, owning a property or owning 2 properties? How did you, and they won't identify the sacrifices that you made up front.
Yeah, interesting. Are we still on, Daniel, by the way?
Yeah, I've just we're just back right now.
Okay, no worries. It hasn't come through on the screen yet.
We stayed up on YouTube. We just went down on Facebook for a bit there.
Oh, Facebook, we're back.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Blame the videographer for trying to be clever with UFC B-roll.
Oh, there you go. But one of the things so you're like, all right, get to the 4 C's of lending, red for capacity, right?
Yep.
What do? It doesn't matter if you keep saving because that's not the issue we're trying to solve, right? So I guess, and it doesn't matter if your parents have got 500 grand of equity in their house from a guarantor perspective, because it's all about. Oh, let me just hit bloody refresh here as well.
Live TV, ladies and gents.
Live. So it's all about making sure your cost of living and everything is in the right space. Let us just sort this out. Yep, that should be sort of back on track now. Yeah, fucking hell. I hate listening to myself. So what do you do? Like, it's almost like those people they got 2 choices. They continue to not benefit from the property market, even though they've been super awesome with all this money mindset and money habits. Yep. So I guess what they should, look left and right and get someone to join your team. Get a brother or a sister. you can buy an investment property with mum or dad.
Yep.
Like you can have them come and join. Now, point to note, if you're in the military and you want to be able to pull the trigger on your ADF housing entitlements, and your mum and dad, say you're living in Southeast Queensland and mum and dad live in Adelaide, right? You can't have mum or dad join you and help you buy your own home because there's no mutual benefit to mum or dad. So there's just a couple again, this is the reason why you plan and don't just go, oh, all right, I can't buy mine myself. Hey, Dad, you want to buy a house with me just so I can get my HPAS and my DOHAS? You'll get to a certain point, and then the banks will be like, doesn't happen that way.
And
you've wasted, ages.
And hopefully you haven't committed any time, any resources,
time and or money to get that done.
Yeah.
So, literally like get your brother or sister involved.
Yes.
Like there's mutual benefit for them being able to do that, even if they don't move in one day. Like it's, up to you and the first time owners grant people. So yeah, I guess you've got to be able to, when you reach a Y junction, not a T junction, you've got to think outside the box and go, who else can now join me on this journey? Because every day, week, month, year that you sit there and you're not on the property ladder, you ain't benefiting from the property market.
Absolutely.
So it's
rather
better
share a property with my sister than not have a property.
Yeah, correct.
Yeah. Please don't go and speak to Digger Smith around the corner and go, "Oi, bro, do you want to buy a property together?" Like suggesting, we're talking about making sure that it's a reliable relationship. It's there's mutual benefit there, and you're not just sort of making some rash decisions. We won't let people do that. In fact, for us, it's about making sure that because property is a game that you play over time. Okay, so you need to be able to have that consistency over time with that partnership. So a brother, sister, parent, something like that over the longer period.
Yeah, we're back now, which is good. So if we've been able to stream live on other channels, you will download that video and we will upload it to Facebook. So those watching us on Facebook can go back and listen to the last bloody 20 minutes of absolute gold that we were just talking about. And those still following us on the other platforms, glad to see you still here. Actually, I can't see you. You can see me. Anyway, that's awesome, right? No, thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, and I'll wrap back around with my own little story about kids getting started soon as well. Lukey, what do you got for us?
For me, I've had a bunch of people back around for, finishing their build or being at a time period where they've been on pause and they're coming around for their second property. I've had a fairly, consistent throughput of that over the last 6 weeks, which has been awesome. The thing that I will say about that is it's as important to plan the second one out, if not more important, than it was to plan the first one out. When we're sitting down and putting together a strategy, it's not just about how much money can we make overnight. It's about being able to consistently hold properties in the market over time, right? So don't, particularly in this lending environment, you don't want to rush into a second acquisition because the more we have to lose, right? So we need to plan that out, which leads me into any changes in circumstance of any of our clients out there. So we talk about planning early, but if any of those circumstances change over time, you want to restructure your portfolio. You have another baby, like tell your parents first, but then come and tell us so that we can actually help you plan it out. If you're looking at, liquidating assets or moving assets around, come back and speak to us. Like it's not just the, click, bang, Axon service done. For us, it's the, we want to support you through the life of the property and the life of your portfolio. So what that means, if you do want to, sell the property, we've got the ability to be able to support you through that. So you minimize the risk, which is always what we're about, in making sure you get the best outcome for you.
We actually dropped the ball on that in the last couple of weeks. There's a good mate of mine that I serve with down at 2 Commando, has just in a general conversation, speaking to the client care department to make sure that the stuff that was coming up with the builder, for the property was going to be fine. And then we found out that he's selling the property. I'm like, I'm his fucking coach. How come I don't know he's selling the property? So I gave him a call. I'm like, hey, bro, what's going on? Like, I'm selling the property. He goes, yeah, I just reached out to the property manager and mentioned I was going to, sell the property, and she's now put me in touch with a real estate agent, and the sale's going through. I'm like, oh, fuck. First, I just apologised to him straight away. I said, man, he goes, I didn't realise I could come back to you guys to talk about that stuff. So to your point, Luke, and point well made, but ultimately as the owner of the firm here, I really want to make sure that it's crystal clear to everybody. 2 major points here. As Luke said, as soon as something changes in your circumstances, like you've got unlimited ad hoc coachings included in your success package for whoever your coach is. And if you're a client from back in the day, and those that are not here anymore coached you back in the day, but you still love the Axon brand, just pick up the phone, hit info, an email at Axon, whatever it is, and just get in touch with this somehow and say, hey, I want to talk to someone, and we will drop everything and be there for you straight away. So it's really, really important that that you don't feel as if you need to be able to tackle the next stage of your life as your life is evolving without coming back and having that conversation with the coach and mapping it all up. The reason that you love the initial coaching part of being here in the first place. And the second element to it is that it was always in place there, but we've really formalised it now with Ange and Kelly in the client care department. Like I've now got 2 ladies that are absolute professionals and very, very passionate about untapped and unlimited client service and support there to make sure that every time your property breathes a certain way, then you're not sure about what to do with it. You get a notice from whoever or whatever, you're not sure about how to read the rental statement, just ping it straight to them. So I've got 2 salary staff members now literally there on a hair trigger to be able to provide responses to you straight away. So, it's we're actually going to do a masterclass inside the Axon Elite group soon. The girls are like, "Oh, give me a bit of time beforehand so I can go get my hair done and whatever else." They didn't say exactly that, but that's probably what they mean. And then my want would be absolutely to have them come and join us here on the live Q&A.
Yeah,
that'd be awesome.
So that means that either one of you two are probably not going to be here, and then I'll be here talking to the 2 girls instead. At least we'll get more than four or 5 views that week.
Coherent sentence out of one of them too, I'm sure.
So just 2 points I want to put in place. Just come back to us, use and abuse us nicely as much as you want. That's why we're here.
I'd say that's a pretty unique thing in the industry as well. Like there's lots of the components to Axon and what we do that are unique. And I think that the girls, the service that the girls bring to bear for our clients, I would be very, very, very surprised. That's 3 verys. Very surprised if there's another business that's doing what the girls do and the passion that they bring to it and the care and the effort and energy that they bring to, to providing that service. It's pretty bloody inspiring, actually.
Trish Tillard's actually giving us a little clap there. She said you can probably bribe Luke with a meat pie to stay home, which is pretty good. Trish, you know Luke very, very well, mate, which is great. Caitlin said how great are the client care team. They've been a gems even for my own property. Love them. Trish, can I just say, mate, that we provide stories from the trenches for all of our coaching sessions, and Kelly's saying that she just loved the coaching session that we did, the end of build hot wash that she did with you recently, mate. So, Trish, thanks so much for being a superstar, and I know you're in the early stages of having a chat with Luke to see what the future holds. So,
energy guaranteed. It's like 2 bloody Energizer bunnies on either side of the camera when Trish and I are there, mate. The energy that comes when we're both, when we're going through coaching sessions, it's next level.
So good. What else, mate, for you?
I've got a big one. got a big one. So
I can see what's written on your screen.
Yeah. I rated.
Can everyone just give me 2 seconds? Listen to this, because there's a story we're going to tell you here about we've just saved someone's ass from potentially going down a very, very serious path, and we want to pass it on to the world so everyone else now knows about it. Go for it.
I'm stealing Ryan's thunder with this one quite a bit.
It can be a joint effort.
Surprise.
Riding on his coattails as always. We come across a few grants as we've done a pretty significant pivot, down to Victoria. Not everybody, depending on circumstances and like. Of course, state to state have different considerations with state government legislation. Things like stamp duty and the like, and that's part of the analysis. We've had a couple of clients come to us separately about friends of theirs that are, hanging around the Furphy tank and talking through, what you can do in down in Victoria. And you had a gent that was speaking to another, property company,
firm like us,
that gave him the great oil, not the good oil, and said, hey, you can go live with this.
Basically gave him green light and said you can get all these exemptions.
Yeah. So essentially, in a nutshell, without diving too deeply into it, there's a bunch of exemptions that are written into state legislation in Victoria that are written in a pretty broad way that may give you the interpretation that you can get things like stamp duty exemptions on investment properties.
And it says for ADF members, right?
ADF members. For ADF members. Yeah. We've dug deep. Ryan's done a lot of the legwork of this, and Doug.
He's like, I fucking called them.
We're a team here. We're a team here. Ryan and I, we've put the effort in as we do it and done the groundwork. It ultimately, if you go down that path, you are committing fraud. Okay, now you may get that through to the keeper. You might.
Yeah.
Right? Ultimately, you might. And you may save yourself 5, 10, 15 grand on the grants and things like that are available. But here's the thing. If that pops up and his head, gets above the parapet and you are caught doing that, not only are you foregoing that entitlement that you've got, and you're probably going to forego any future entitlements, it's actually committing fraud at a state level. Yep. Which, what is that going to mean for all of you out there if you've got a security clearance?
Bad juju.
It's absolutely bad juju. And in the Defence Force absolutely won't accept you if you can't hold a security clearance. So not only are you messing up your property portfolio and your investment strategy, you're also probably messing up your primary source of income. It's pretty hard to get sacked by Defence, but there's a few ways that'll guarantee it, and fraud's one of them.
Yeah, it's a pretty, I guess, sobering part of it. I spoke to a young bloke who, as you said, has gotten the green light from somebody else.
So this is someone else in our space.
In our space, that's
Defence Force member.
Tick, ADF, tick, you're on the Victorian electoral roll. You're exempt from first-time owner, the residency requirements for first-time owner grants.
But where's this guy actually living?
He's living in South Australia.
Right.
So when you look at the policy and the wording, it's quite loose and there's interpretation. But, as his property coach, I said, mate, I'm not going to take that on face value. So I rang Victorian State Revenue.
You're on hold for half an hour.
Yeah, fucking ages.
Yeah.
Standard state government. That's
But
all right.
again, this is what we
at the end
do.
of the day, I put my RAF cap back on and said I was in the RAF to buy an investment property in Victoria to throw a little case study at them. And the short story is that ultimately you don't get those exemptions if you are posted somewhere else in Australia. It's really for the people that buy a property in Victoria that are then unknowingly deployed or sent away. They can then get a refund on it. So, but the way that it reads might
Encourage
people to think, oh, sweet, I'm exempt from this stuff. And I think when it comes down to the application forms and stuff, and you start ticking boxes, and it says, yes, I'm honest and blah, 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 and you're probably not being quite honest, that's what, as Luke said, you could be going down the path of fraud for 10 grand, 40 grand.
There's 4 words taken from me that you don't want to ever hear. Notice to show cause.
I've had 3 of them at Axon already. They're no big deal.
Someone else must have gave them to you then, because if you get one from me, I'll know about it. I said if. True story. Like, I love it. I don't love it that old mate got very poor advice from one of our peers in the marketplace.
Yep.
Shame on that firm, whoever it was. No names, no packages. I haven't asked. I don't fucking care. That was a legitimate fuck. All right. But it's, I'm proud of you, Ryan, for taking up going, you know what? That doesn't pass the pub test.
Yep.
Let me just look into this properly. Let me make sure the plan, and let me make sure putting on the executive summary that's going to go to the solicitor and the mortgage broker or whatever else is succinct and it's correct and it's legal and you were doing the right thing. So, yeah, mate, it was bloody, one of the best things you've done, like, in the last couple of weeks.
Yeah, at least. Again, that comes back to the value of having a team on your side, a team of professionals. If you're seeking guidance, you want to be able to rely on that information that you're getting from those professionals. You want to know that they care about your circumstance and situation, and they are going to go the extra mile to make sure that it is right. Because ultimately, if you do something like that and you expose yourself to risk,
push the level of risk,
exactly, likelihood and consequence. You get 10 grand, beauty, lose your job, shit. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Not worth it.
Not worth it at all.
What else, mate? Can you pass on something to us that you've done by yourself?
How to meet pie?
I've eaten pies by myself.
You're back on your carnivore. I haven't seen a pie in your hand for a week.
No, just steak and cheese. So Dub's the videographer here. He's I think it's vegan. He doesn't eat some parts of animals or something.
Vegetarian, thanks, mate.
Same thing.
So he's a hypocritical vegan. I double my meat consumption so I can make up for his. I don't want the meat industry in Australia to collapse, so I'm just doing my bit.
Right.
Back to actually what we've been doing.
Before I start swinging back over here.
And I know you've got another question that's come in, so let's make sure we've got another 16, 17 minutes, so we'll make sure we get that under our belt.
One of the biggest things the trends that I've seen over the last couple of weeks is one-off opportunities. So I've seen a bunch of people now, the first thing that rings to mind for most people is, DVA and compensation payouts. That's one component to it, but there are a lot of others. There's, deployments, inheritance, and all that sort of stuff. Those opportunities are, sometimes once in a lifetime. If nan or pop or uncle or auntie passes away and they leave you a chunk of change, you don't want to basically piss that opportunity away. You want to be able to make the most out of that and put a plan and a strategy in place, as I always say, to make sure you are utilising that, right? But it may not also necessarily mean that that's going to get you over the line. As we said before, one-off opportunities, it doesn't increase your borrowing capacity and stuff, but we need to do that analysis to get that understanding.
Yeah, mate, super important. Yeah, you don't want to be, like, if you've got DVA money coming your way, you are hurt somewhere and you've been compensated for that. If you've got inheritance come your way, then you've had someone in your family pass away, so that's another bit of hurt. And if you've come back from deployment and you're back here still alive, then that's, you don't want to waste that money either.
It can be a recipe for the disaster, right? Particularly when we talk about the DVA stuff. And I don't want to focus on that as the only thing. But if you paint that scenario, you're leaving defence, you're in a bit of a banged up state. You are getting a big chunk of change. You haven't had any money, money education or money mindset, haven't had that philosophy in your life. You might be a little bit lost, and that money sitting there burning a hole in your pocket. There can be a high chance that you're going to start taking up some bad habits to sort of soothe that transition period, and we don't want you to do that. We want you to make sure that because it can be the golden, the lucky ticket in your luck, but it can be in your life that provides you and your family stability, ongoing stability for the rest of your life.
The 22 and 23-year-olds you're talking about won't know what that means, but I call it the Willy Wonka ticket.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, good one, Luke. I love it. Daniel, can you hit us up with that question? Because I just realised I've got a couple of really important bits I want to be able to pass on before we finish up. But yeah, crack on, mate. This is another really good question, team, so I want you to listen in for this one. What did Joey Seymour say before? Stand fast. So yeah, here we go again.
All right, if you have a property at the top of the property cycle, i.e. south, should you be taking advantage of this time to draw out the equity so it's available for future investments, or leave it in the property being at risk of cycle change or interest rate rises?
Ryan Canoe, you go first, then Luke, then I'll finish off. So this has come from really great client of ours, building a second property with us right now. Been very, very smart with their money mindset and money habits. The third property overall in a very, very buoyant portfolio with plenty of equity and plenty of cash still left over. So it's a bit of a loaded question, I know. But yeah, I'm really interested. So I hope everyone sort of, has an understanding, like if you've done really well from a property so far and maybe the future for that particular area isn't as buoyant as one would think. Therefore, you're putting yourself to that risk of property cycles. What do you do with that property?
I'd love to sit here and jump out straight away and say yes, but I think I'll be quite diplomatic and say it depends.
Yeah.
It always depends.
It always depends, right? And we know property cycles move in sort of 4 to 7 year cycles depending, and they're always going to be top of the market, although you may not know when that top of the market is. Yep. We don't have that crystal ball that we always talk about. However, if you are in a situation where the property is doing really well and you do have the available equity to grow that portfolio, you've got to make sure that you can sustain that growth, cash flow, what else is going on in your life. So that's putting that plan into place to make sure that, actually now is the time to extract that equity to build that portfolio. Because it might not be the right time for you, even though the property's got growth. You could have all sorts of things going on in your personal life where you might be at risk by building that portfolio right now.
Yeah, love it. Good answer. Very diplomatic.
If you pull that equity out of that property, and let's say in the circumstance, I'm not specifically saying Perth or I'm not specifically saying, Brisbane, but if you pull that equity out and you're worried about that equity disappearing, you're at the same problem set if it disappears. If that property goes down in value, you've pulled that out, you then got what's called an upside down mortgage, right? We want to avoid that at all costs because that can then cause, all sorts of troubles with the bank.
What Luke means there is that you now owe more than what the property's worth.
Okay. Ultimately, what we're doing when we've got a plan and strategy is we're targeting areas that aren't necessarily going up all the time. It's consistent growth over time. So we will see natural cycles, right? We will see a property go up, rapidly over a couple of years, and then it'll sort of slow down, and then it'll go up rapidly over a couple of years. That's the normal thing with properties. I would say, to echo what Ryan said, it just depends so much on your personal circumstance. It really, really does. But
tolerance for risk.
Yeah, and your rist tolerance as well. On balls to the wall when it comes to risk and debt stress. I love being debt stressed. I'm joking. Fran sitting at home giggling. I'm not that vein. That's a pleasure vein. It's not stress.
I've never seen it.
It's so it really depends. I digress. But ultimately, the strategy is to have that equity, right? And the equity doesn't go away. So if you're in a position where your cash flow is strong, your equity is strong, you've got an ability to be able to target another market that's going to go up and give you that consistent growth, speak to your bloody coach about your specific circumstance.
If you target that right location, as you said, where that growth isn't going to go away.
Yeah.
Like we're not targeting a volatile
Gladstone.
market where, Gladstone or Emerald or something where, it's based off the back of the mining boom, etc. Well, Perth could be maybe, but... it's not going to disappear, so it'll be there for some time. Obviously, ebbing and flowing with the cycle, but then it's all just about aligning that with your circumstances.
Yep.
Yeah. My spin on this to complement and augment. That's a fancy word for add to. What you guys have already
Officer
said.
word.
I'm a massive fan, of course, is that individual circumstances will sort of vary, but I'm a massive buy and hold sort of guy.
Oh, yeah, man.
So if you can buy and hold a property over a number of cycles,
Yes.
no matter the peaks and troughs and the natural nature of each of the markets, as both of you have just explained, that, in my opinion, is going to give you the best outcome. But I've got a bunch of clients now that have bought properties with us 5, 6, 7 and a bit years ago, whereby their circumstances have changed, and they're like, all right, we've got 300 grand of equity in that property. We now want to start a family, or we want to go on overseas holiday, or we're a bit stressed with cash at the moment. What do you think I can do? I'm like, we'll sell one of them.
Yep.
Like, it's no good being in cash stress or mortgage stress, and you've got a shit tin of equity, but you can't hold on to it.
Equity rich and cash poor.
Don't be afraid to sell a property and then go and repurpose that. So it's not equity you're getting, you're now realising capital.
Yep.
You can extract equity from a property if you still hold it, but if you sell the property, you then realise capital. Then you can go and repurpose that cash to go and fix an area of your life which has evolved and therefore changed from the original reason why you bought the property.
Yep.
So that's the first reason, right? And look, at the end of the day, if the market conditions have changed or deteriorated or shifted from when the reasons why you originally bought there, and you have a very firm, like if you as the owner of that property, no matter what I think or no matter what anyone else thinks, it's your train set. If you don't believe that area is going to continue to go up in value, get the fuck out.
Get out.
Go sell the property at what may be the height of the market, whatever it is, and go and put your money, park your money, as it's commonly known now. Thanks to some awesome coaching I had a couple of weeks ago. Go and park your money somewhere else where you're like, I like this area. Like go and do that. So. But the premise of the things I just spoke about there is that you need to choose wisely in the first place.
Yes.
If you have bought in an area which hasn't got good prospects for growth, you won't have that equity. You won't have that capital. You won't have those choices. You won't be able to fix shit, and you won't be able to do better in your life.
I asked my wife.
Hope that helps.
I asked my wife what happens if we get into cash stress, and I said, "Can we sell a property?" And she said, "No, you fucking work harder."
Yeah, you get a second job with all your spare time. How about that? No, great question, Daniel.
it's
Thank
awesome.
you so much.
Thanks.
I'd love to hear. Ping me in the chat team if that resonated with you from Ryan, Luke, and myself as far as the response goes. Go for it. You want to say something? Get fucked. All right. Right.
I've got one.
I'm going to do a roll now.
I've got
we
one.
got 8 minutes to go.
All right, this one's quick. This one's quick. Rent vesting. There's been a huge amount of articles out there right now how rent vesting's not worth it. Right? How because
Not worth it.
Not worth it.
Right.
Not worth it.
What buffoon wrote these
I'll
articles?
show you. There's a bunch that rolled out, and I've been reading about 6 or 7 of them recently that have said, "Hey,
There's multiple buffoons.
Right. that hey, this has changed. It's changed in the dynamic. It's changed in this. The average, the medium house price and all that sort of stuff changed. The rents have changed, and that dynamic of shift has meant that it may or may not be worth. More likely not for most people out there. That is, I sat there and thought about this for a long time because it takes me a long time to think of things. And it is a very different dynamic for defence people. When you talk about the entitlements that we get, not me, I'm a crusty old veteran now, the entitlements that you get when we're talking about married quarter, live-in accommodation, when you talk about rent assistance or members' choice, that significantly outweighs the concept of buying your own home and living in it, okay? Unless, of course, you're in one of those areas with the 7 ingredients. But it significantly outweighs it. It's about $30,000 to $35,000 difference depending on your circumstance, living in your own home, paying it off with RA and all those considerations, than it is with having an investment property in the market and it going up in an area that's going up in value. So for us, please, if you're out there reading the stuff on rent vesting, because we're being hit pretty hard with it now, just paint your own personal circumstance over it and have a look at it from your perspective and the entitlements that you have, and just don't take it as carte blanche guidance in what you should do.
Yeah, I had a similar. That's a great point. So rent vesting, for those that don't know, is that you rent where you want to live and invest in areas that where your money is going to work hardest for you or gives you, greatest benefit there. So if you're not posted to an area which has got the 7 ingredients to a healthy property market, repurpose your money, buy an investment property instead, and keep living in your married quarter for $300 a week, where everyone else in your street is paying $700 or $800 a week or $1,000 a week, depending on where you live. So it's a real no-brainer these days. And the rise of the interest rates, therefore the cost of the mortgage living in your own home, has been a real shift on that.
Yep, massive.
Even since you've been, working with us now for the last 2 and a bit years. So it's once you crunch the numbers. So the coaching session I had with Rick and Sam up in Townsville, she's desperate to get out of the little, I don't know how many, 1 or 2 bedroom apartment they're living in close to the Strand. She's like, I've been here for a few years. I've been waiting for a posting order. I'm sick of living here right now. I want to move to a bigger area. We've now got our son. When's this going to happen? And Rick's like, no, but we want to keep, grow on a property portfolio and like buy another investment property. So when she went out of the room, I was like, bro, let me give you a bit of advice. He goes, I don't want to spend an extra $100 a week on rent and move to somewhere bigger. I'm like, say that again and listen to what you just said. Is the happiness of your wife worth $100 a week? I'm like, fucking move into another location then, mate. Just go do that. And so it's just, it's the, sometimes we're a padre, sometimes we're a coach, sometimes we're a family planner, sometimes we're a marriage counsellor. He said to me, he goes, "You give me marriage counsellor advice?" I'm like, no, I need marriage counsellor advice. I'm listening to the whispers so I can hear the screams. Go and spend the extra $100 a week on rent to make sure you move into a better location.
It's often because we've made the mistake, right?
Yes,
we can give
quite often.
Hey,
last little thing it's a real high I want to finish on is Matt and Patina, some amazing clients of ours, met me about 5.5, 6 years ago, and they, by their own admission, were not in a very good financial position. They had bought a property in regional Queensland that had not done very well, and they were in too much consumer debt, let's just say that. And from the coaching and from the guidance and from the accountability and all that other stuff that we've been speaking about for the last nigh on an hour, they're now slab down, almost frame up for their second investment property, which is just such an amazing turnaround. And not only that, they've got the kids to the between the ages of 19 and 22, have now each individually reached out to me and now want to put a plan in place. Rhino, to your point, now they don't have $100,000 saved, no dramas, but they have been motivated and inspired and just like, right, I've seen what Axon have done to mum and dad. The earlier I can get started, the better. And I have no doubt, these are like 19, so, one of them was 13 6 years ago, probably walking behind the screen when I'm sitting there going, right, we need to turn this around, team. Otherwise, whatever I was saying 6 years ago. So it's just such an inspiring story that mum and dad have done a massive turnaround and now saved their financial future. And now they got their 3 kids involved in the Axon planning, and then we're now going through different scenarios, and probably the brothers are going to get together, and the daughter's got a boyfriend, so they're going to be able to buy. So it's just such an amazing and inspiring story to be a part of. That not only are they Matt and Patina having the courage and the foresight to be able to use our services, but then like, please, now you are entrusted with my kids. Like, it's just such an awesome story. That's intergenerational wealth right
you
there.
Just stole the words
Sorry, mate.
Straight out of my
We have an
mouth,
uncanny
man.
knack of doing that. Funny, so we're going for different fighters on Sunday, so I will not be finishing your sentences then. Finish us off, mate. We've got 90 seconds to go.
That is exactly what I was talking about before, man. It's not just about giving your kids a whole shitload of money towards the back end of your life or giving them the first. That helps, sure. But, if you give a man a fish, he eats for a day. If you teach a man to fish, he eats for the rest of his life. So being able to do that, provide that example, put people in touch with the right people, the professionals, to put that plan and strategy in place, that will change their lives immensely in the same way and in magnitudes greater because they've got that time.
Yeah. There you go. Patina's just saying we broke the cycle. I fucking
awesome.
love that. Rhino, you give us your spin on that, and then I'll finish it off with something just as impactful.
I don't have a spin. I think it's just like absolutely
awesome.
phenomenal that you're now coaching their children at those young ages, and the journey that they're about to embark on is,
I look forward to 15 years down the track speaking to your kids. He's like, they've already got a coach. And you'll still be here too, mate. But here's the thing: I said to one of them today. He's got an awesome job, 4th year electrical apprentice. Very smart with his head, very smart with his hands, all that sort of stuff. But he's got an expensive hobby. He goes out to the track with his motorbike all the time. So he's been on a decent wage for the last 4 years as a 4th year, as an apprentice, and he's got $500 in the bank.
Yep.
And I said, righto, champ.
Let's go.
This is fucking where the rubber hits the road. I don't know if I champed him. I didn't. I wouldn't have, right? But this is, yeah. So, right, this is where the rubber hits the road. I know you love going to the track with your motorbikes, but if we get to early next year when you come off your apprenticeship and then you bump up significantly in pay and you've still got $500 in the bank, you ain't fucking buying a property anytime soon. So now it's on you.
Yep.
So now I never had this conversation with someone when I was your age, to your point. Yep. Look, you guys said it, and I didn't even have to share what I was doing when I was 22, not fucking having conversations with property coaches, let me tell you. So actually I had my first son when I was 21. Well, my only son when I was 21. So there's a story by the side. But yeah, it's just it was just so good for Uncle Robbie just to sort of look straight down the barrel there and go, righto, it's on you, mate. And you should have seen him. He's like, all right, I'm definitely going to make that happen.
Good chat.
So I look forward to seeing how that sort of evolves over the next little while. We are up. Thank you so much for all your comments. It's been amazing. Justin Simmons says, epic. That's awesome. You're an absolute legend, Bettina, since Caitlin. Proud of you and your family, etc., etc. We've loved tonight. Thank you, boys, for joining us. Yeah. Apologies that we had a little break in transmission. When you we didn't know we were off air.
So we just kept joining.
So the YouTube world has enjoyed the whole of it. But yeah, certainly I know that Daniel, in all of his wizardry out the back there, will put together that little 20-minute clip. I feel was a pretty impactful one. Yep. So thanks for staying with us. There's still bloody 23 people listening to us. So that's bloody amazing. As the great Jeff Fennick says, we love yous all. And Ryan?
Just going to say a quick plug for Vet Games this weekend.
Oh, shit.
We've got a bunch of Axonites out there in the Numbamba Valley. If you're in the southeast Queensland region, we'll have a tent. We'll have some coasters. Come for a chat. Hopefully it's not raining. I'll be in gumboots anyway.
It's actually not. The weather's supposed to be really nice. Guess who's taking the really shitty weather tours to Perth?